Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Pranav Razvandari and I am the project manager for the Generative AI Lab at Jon Snow Labs. Thank you for joining today's session on HIPAA-compliant human-in-the-loop workflows and Generative AI Lab. In this webinar, we'll show you how the Generative AI Lab enables configurable, compliant workflows that combine AI model predictions with human oversight, ensuring high accuracy de-identification of PHI data. I will walk you through how these workflows are not only model assisted but also securely role based with access control and permissions in place to ensure that annotators, reviewers, and project managers only interact with the data they are authorized to access. This is crucial when working with sensitive health information, especially under HIPAA. I will guide you through the process with an example project and share a live demo to show how it works in practice. In the second part of the session, my colleague Amit will walk you through the HIPAA-grade audit capabilities of the platform. He will explain how audit logs play a crucial role in regulated environments, especially in healthcare, and demonstrate how real-time audit dashboards in Generative AI Lab offer full visibility into users and system activities, making compliance not just possible but transparent and verifiable. Together, we'll show how these two capabilities, de-identification and auditability, combine to support end-to-end HIPAA compliance in real-world clinical workflows. Let's get started. De-identification of PHI is critical for any organization working with clinical or sensitive health data. Whether you are conducting research, sharing data, or training AI models, removing personal identifiers is a must to protect patient privacy and remain compliant with laws like HIPAA. Relying solely on automated tools can lead to misleading identifiers or over redaction, which compromises data or compliance. That's why a human in the loop approach adds real value by allowing trained reviewers to verify correct or approve de-identification results before final output. In the context of de-identification, human in the loop means combining AI-driven predictions with human review to ensure accuracy and completeness. Instead of trusting the model blindly, the platform allows annotators to verify or adjust predictions and then pass the task on to a reviewer who performs final checks. This process is especially important for regulated environments where error in PHI masking can have legal or ethical consequences. Now that we have covered the why behind de-identification and the role of human reviews, let's take a look at how the Generative AI Lab implements the workflow in practice. Here's what a typical human-in-the-loop de-identification workflow looks like inside the Generative AI Lab. First, you create a de-identification project, import documents, then configure review workflows, annotate using the model predictions, verify and approve annotations by reviewer, and finally we view the reviewed annotations as de-identified text. Let's walk through each step in more detail. To begin, you need to create a new project and select the de-identification project type. The template comes preloaded with a pre-trained PHI model pipeline. No need to configure models from scratch. Next, upload clinical notes or import documents from your local file system or from external sources like S3 or Azure Blob Storage. Once uploaded, these documents appear in the task list. These tasks can now be processed by the preloaded model. Now, configure your review workflow. You can assign annotators and reviewer for each document. This step ensures that the right people are in place to manage different stages of review and approval. This kind of workflow configuration is especially helpful for large teams or organizations that require strict quality assurance protocols. Once tasks are assigned, we will use the model to automatically detect PHI entities like names, dates, contact info, and many more. This dramatically reduces manual effort as annotators start with the model suggestion rather than labeling everything from scratch. The annotator checks each prediction. They can accept, modify, or reject PHI labels. If the model misses something or label is incorrect, the annotator can fix it directly. This step ensures the data is as accurate and complete as possible before it goes to the reviewer. Next, the reviewer receives the task with all annotations. They can easily compare what the model predicted, what the annotator changed or added. The reviewer checks for missing PHI, incorrect labels, overall annotation quality. If everything looks good, the task is approved. After approval, the task can be de-identified. You can view the de-identified version directly in the interface, export the final de-identified text to the local storage or cloud platform security. The final output is ready for use in research, model training, or data sharing with full auditability of how each PHI item was handled. Now that you have seen the full process, I'll move on to a live demo inside the Generative AI Lab so you can see how it all works in real time, from setting up the project to exporting the identified results. In this demo, we'll first try to create a de-identification project. First, let's click on the top right. Here we see the new button. We can click on it to create a new project. We first give the name of the de-identification project, de-identification notes, and then also add a short description of the project here in the description, and a small note regarding the annotator instructions that can be added here. This will be seen in the labeling piece while the annotators are annotating the documents. Then we click on next and add the team members. Here we'll be adding the annotators, reviewers for this project. Let's first search for Andy. I'll be adding Andy as an annotator. I would also like to add Adam as annotator. And then let's add Robert as the reviewer. And now in this project, I have me as the project creator and manager, Andy and Adam as the annotator, and Robert as the reviewer. Let's click on next. Here we have the templates that we can select. Since we are doing a de-identification project, we want to select the de-identification template. Click on yes. The template has been loaded and everything regarding the identification has already been loaded automatically. There is no configuration required. First, let's save it and then go to next and move on to reuse resource, please. Here we can already see that the model clinical de-identification has already been selected. So this model will be used to predict the PHI data on your documents. Click on next. Here we can customize our labeling page where we can move the position of the labels, the text. And on the right side in the preview window, we can see that the labels are on the top and the text document is at the bottom. We save it and then we'll be greeted by a pop-up saying, do you want to deploy the model as a pre-annotation server? We'll click on deploy and save configuration. So while we are setting up our project, in the background, our model is getting deployed in a pre-annotation server. Now let's move on to the task page to import some documents. For that, move your cursor to the left side and you will see the task button. Let's click on that and you will be redirected to the task page. Here we want to import some documents, so let's click on import button on the top right. Here you will be able to import files locally and also from cloud storage like S3 and Azure Blob. In this demo, I'll be importing some documents from my local file. So I'll just drag and drop a JSON file. The tasks has been imported into the documents. I have over 10 tasks here. After the tasks have been imported, we can now assign annotator and reviewer to each of the tasks. So I'll be selecting the first 5 tasks and assigning it to Andy. Similarly, I'll be selecting the next 5 tasks and assigning it to Adam. And finally, I'll be selecting all of the tasks and assign a reviewer robot to all of them. Also, you'll be able to see the annotator and reviewer for each task by clicking on the Teams link. So it was imported by me, and I've assigned annotator Adam to this task and reviewer robot. After we have assigned the annotator and reviewer, the human in the loop, to the individual tasks, now we can apply the deployed model to predict PHI data on all of these tasks. Now let's click on the de-identify button on the top right and click on the identify PHI PII button. When I click on this, all of the documents that we have imported will be processed by the model to find the PHI PII data. We can see that we can see an orange ring on each of the tasks. Orange signifies that the annotation is being carried out, and when it's completed, the ring will be changed to green. So let's check the prediction for task number 1. As you can see that the model has been successful enough to identify the PHI PII data. If you check the right side of the UI, you can see versions tab. If you click on it, you'll be able to see that the model predicted all of these entities. Now that we have prediction on all of the documents, we can log in as annotator and see the annotator workflow. Now let's log out of my account and log in as annotator Andy. I've logged in as Andy, and in my home screen I can see the project that I have been assigned to. Users can only see the projects that they have been added to. Let's click on the project and it will redirect the user to the task page. As you can see, there are 5 tasks that have been assigned to Andy. Any task that has not been assigned to the user will not be seen in the task page for that project. I can also see that all of them are in incomplete status and all of them have prediction on them. I'll then click on the first task and see the annotations. Now the annotator can either accept the prediction, which will submit the same prediction as a submitted completion. If there are changes to be made, then the annotator can make change by clicking on the edit button. For example, the number is not complete here. I can remove this by clicking on backspace or delete in the keyboard and select the entire number and then click as full number. Also, I can see that there is a mistake in the email, so I'll be removing this. Delete it by clicking on the delete or backspace button and then select the entire email and then click on email label. Then I can either update to save the changes that I've just made, or if you're done with the edits, then you can straight away click on submit. I'll then submit, click on submit, and this completion has been submitted. If you check the versions tab, you can see that the user Andy has created completion that has been submitted. Now further changes cannot be made in this completion. For some reason, if there is still some issue with the annotations in the text, what can be done is we can copy by clicking on the copy completion button and make changes there. For example, if I want to also add doctor to the doctor's name, I can just remove this and click on doctor label. And then click submit. Since we already have a start completion before, now we would like to switch to this one. We'll be clicking on submit with ground truth. Now this will be treated as the final completion from the annotator. Similarly, the annotator will go through all of the tasks that the annotator has been assigned to and complete all of the assigned tasks. This is the workflow of the annotator. Now we'll move on to the reviewer by logging out of Andy and then logging in as Robert. Since Robert is also added to the project ideation notes, Robert can see the project in his home page. We'll click on the project and see all of the 10 tasks. Since Robert has been assigned all of the 10 tasks to be reviewed by him, we can see all of them. We can see that number 1 has been submitted. So the reviewer's job will be to review the submitted tasks. We can also filter the submitted state task on the right side by clicking on the submitted status and clicking on apply filter. Now that we can see the filtered results, I can click on the task and see the annotations made by Andy. If you click on versions, you will be able to see that currently we are viewing Andy's completion. Reviewer will then either approve the annotations or ask for change and add feedback when submitting the review. You give review by clicking on the add your review on the bottom. And if all of the changes made by Andy is correct with respect to the predictions that Andy was provided, you can either approve or ask for request change. We can also add the feedback right here. Since I think this annotation is correct, I'll be clicking on the approve button, clicking on submit. The reviewer will go through all of the submitted tasks, the same as for this task. Now let's log out of reviewer and then log in as manager to check the workflow of a manager after tasks have been annotated and reviewed. Let's go inside the project. Now that the task number 1 has been annotated, meaning it has been submitted and then reviewed, the task will go to reviewed state. We can filter the reviewed state task by going on the top right and selecting the reviewed status and clicking apply filter. We can also see that task number 1 is non-de-identified, meaning we have only identified the PHI data. We have not de-identified the document. For that, we'll need to select the tasks that have been reviewed, click on the de-identify button right on the top right, and now click on the de-identify button. This process will now remove all of the PHI data that have been annotated by the annotator and reviewed. After the de-identification process is completed, the task will now have de-identified tag and informing the manager that the PHI values have been removed from the document. You can click on the task to check the results. You can go to the versions tab and click on the compare de-identified data button. You will be able to see that the identified entities are de-identified in the right side. Here you will be able to see that the PHI data is removed in all areas where the label have been tagged by the annotator and reviewed by the reviewer. Now you can export the de-identified text. Now you can click on the export button on the top right. In the export page, you will be able to select from export format types. Currently, I'll be selecting CSV and then export the de-identified text. When you open the CSV, you will be able to see that all of the text that have been exported have the de-identified text, and all of the PHI, PII data have been removed. And that's the full human in the loop de-identification workflow from document import through annotation and review to safe and structured PHI removal. The process is transparent, auditable, and highly configurable, ensuring compliance and quality in regulated environment.